Good evening and welcome to Question Time. Tonight our questions come from Stoke-on-Trent. And here with us in Stoke, the Transport Secretary, Jeff Hoon, the Shadow Home Secretary, Dominic Grieve, Julia Goldsworthy, Liberal Democrat local government spokesman, from the Dragon's Den, the venture capitalist James Caan, and the former Labour Cabinet Minister, now an independent MP, Claire Short. So, hello, and as you know, the questions will come from our audience. The panel here don't know what they're going to be asked. And if watching at home you've got things you want to say, you can... James Caan, do you think that the government can do things to resolve the job shortage, given unemployment's rising?
Absolutely. I think they can do that. I think the key issue right now is I think we need to stimulate the economy because we are heading straight into a recession. And I think if you think we've got problems now, imagine what it's going to be like in the next 6, 12, 18 months' time. So I think the government has a responsibility of A, reducing interest rates to stimulate business, stimulate the economy and protect the jobs that we do have, because I do think it will get worse.
How bad do you think it will... How bad do you think it'll be in 12 to 18 months if we go on as we are?
I think we've just experienced something we've never experienced before. I think the current economic crisis, has reached an unprecedented level where, the share prices, the amount of money the government's bailing out the banks, this is something we've never seen before. So my own anticipation is I think it will get much worse, and I think even the response the government has provided now, let's be honest, hasn't really made a difference yet. Share prices are still falling, companies are going down. So, if it's not working yet, my own anticipation, it's going to get worse.
Okay. Number of hands up already, but I'll come to you first, Dominic.
Isn't it time that the government began to stand up for and support British industry? If we can pour billions into the bank system, why don't we start supporting our own homegrown industries so that pottery, for example, can be made here and not outsourced to Indonesia?
Jeff Hoon.
But can I make it clear, that is precisely...
Tax, and he's funding it by other business taxes, by changing that, so it's not going to have any
We already have identified
Can I
cuts
give you
in
a tangible
corporation
solution rather than the theory?
Yes.
The tangible solution is, I think as well as the government has said that they've created 1 million jobs, we also lose hundreds of thousands of jobs every year to overseas situations where we're outsourcing. I think the government should legislate against that. We should, just the way we have immigration, where you have to qualify to getting in, I think we should have immigration to stop those jobs going out before a UK person should be able to do that.
Would that be legal? Can you do that?
It wouldn't be legal.
What I'm saying is, but the government, we're talking about intervention here. We're talking about, we've all on the panel said that it's going to get much worse. We're all accepting that unemployment will rise, but how can you accept that on one hand and then sit back and watch thousands of jobs going to Eastern Europe or to China or to India? There must be a way to protect the UK employment structure by protecting jobs.
But you can only
this should be a priority.
You can only do that if the economic environment in this country is attractive. Otherwise, you're simply trying to stand against a tide which is receding away from this country, because people look at it and say, from the point of view of taxation, from the point of view of generating wealth,
Dominic, we can stop them coming in. We can
successful.
stop people coming in by legislating using immigration. Why can't we stop
under the
our
World
jobs?
Trade Organization and all the international trade deals, you can't do it as crudely as that. And
Forgive
what
me for
happened
being
in the
simple.
1930s, after the last great crash, there was country after country did that, and the whole world went into depression, and we got Hitler and World War. The objective is right, but we've got to be a bit more subtle about the way we do it.
Okay, let me bring in somebody else. The man there in black on the right-hand side, two in.
I think you need to...
So let's take this, please, from Dr. Ajmal Hussain.
What is the future for me and my family in a city with 9 BNP councillors and with Islamophobia at fever pitch?
With Islamophobia at fever pitch? What's your evidence for that?
If you look at the local activities of parties like the BNP, their primary kind of target has been Islam and Islamophobia, and they've got all, I mean, if you go onto the website, it's primarily directed at the Muslims and Islam. And I think, to be honest, they are buying into a kind of a bigger picture that's happening, and to be honest, they know they can get away with it.
I think there are more BNP councillors in Stoke-on-Trent than any other...
Apart from Barking, I think.
Yes, 9 out of 60. James Caan.
I mean, I do think it's genuinely an issue, and I'm aware of that. I think that, as a Muslim myself, I mean, I think that I find it difficult to understand because there is so much similarity between the three religions. I mean, I went to an event like this recently where there was a rabbi, a Christian and a Muslim, and it was just quite incredible, the similarity between the faiths. But I just think it's a simple point of lack of understanding and just very poor communication. I think the way that the issues are communicated generally are also negative, and I think, you know, I don't know what the answer is, but I do understand your problem, and I don't really have a solution for you.
Do you think, from your observation, that things are getting worse in terms of the relations between...
I think they are, and I think because of the whole global issue, and I think the war on terror, and I think every issue that happens around the world, you know, rightly or wrongly, somehow is always associated back to somebody from Pakistan or the Middle East or Saudi Arabia, which just, you know, propels the issue even worse. So I think it is certainly getting worse, yes.
Okay. Julia Goldsworthy.
I think there's a lot of
And I would come to this gentleman here in the front.
Is this not a further example, like the banks, that the government that's voted in by the people is more concerned with the people who are looking at the shares and stocks every day and not at the normal person who needs this money? We seem to be more interested in this Labour government, any government at the moment, of the people who are making the money off us, not the people not working for us.
Okay. James Caan.
I mean, I must admit, I agree with the chap, actually, because, you know, isn't it amazing that all of a sudden we can find £500 billion, you know, from nowhere? So, I mean, I do think, and I absolutely believe there is something wrong with the system, that your health is dependent on the postcode that you live in, not the condition, you know, that you're in. So, you know, absolutely, Jeff, I think as a government that is a real issue.
Well, we haven't found £500 billion, and let's be clear, we did not want to take the action that we have been for.
Are the government plans to introduce a giant Big Brother database? In the words of its own independent reviewer, awful.
Are the government plans to introduce a Big Brother database, which Lord Carlisle called awful, who's...
As individuals, we need to be responsible about realising how powerful that data can be if someone else overtakes it.
Okay, James Caan.
I think absolutely, I'm vehemently against this. I think this concept of Big Brother watching us, I think it's bad enough as it is. I think if the government want access, they should go through the same procedure as they have now, i.e. get a warrant where they find somebody has done something wrong. But I think this unilateral view that all of a sudden our entire lives and all our information is like an open book to somebody else, I think is fundamentally wrong.
But that's precisely what the proposal is, let's be clear.